Hello, thank you for joining us today. My name is Tony Gillen, and today I have with me Shaun Wilkins here to discuss independent filmmaking. Shaun, thank you for joining me today.
No problem.
One of the questions I want to ask you real quick is, why are independent films important today?
Well, I know that they're important to me because they say so much. They seem to focus more on like the emotional human side of things rather than uh, big expensive stories. And I think they can be therapeutic to certain people that they address the issues to, and they address a lot of issues, and I think that's uh, really important. I just think they are really artistic in the film world.
Okay, can you clarify on some of the issues you're talking about?
Um, well, like I've watched some about mental disabilities, some about a lot more. You see a lot more emotional rather than other things. Like there's a movie called Manic. The guy it's about a bunch of kids that have a bunch of different mental problems, being like anger, let it be depression. That's a pretty powerful movie, and it's such a low budget. Uh, usually it's usually emotional though, and I think that speaks to a lot of people because we all have emotions. We're not robots.
Okay. What are some of your favorite indie films?
I really love Perks of Being a Wallflower. It's a really good movie. I haven't seen it. It's a really powerful film. The Art of Getting By is really good. These are more teenager movies, but they have plenty of adult movies that I like. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. The list can just keep on going. I love independent films.
Right, right. Another question is do you think there's a big difference between independent films and Hollywood-style films?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Independent just has this very real, almost documentary feel to it that I think Hollywood is actually, they started doing that a little bit. Even stuff like Universal Studios, they have Vintage, I think it's called Vintage, or Vantage. They have their own little independent film production crew. There's a huge difference because when you look at a Hollywood movie, they have pretty good stories and they're not terrible, but they usually have a lot to do about action. It can be, they do emotional stuff too, but usually when you watch independent, it's usually about focus more on like the human instead of, I don't know, maybe like Battleship in comparison to Perks of Being a Wallflower. They're just polar opposites, but there is a lot of differences, and it comes down to style, it comes down to budget. There's so many.
Okay, now would you say that Hollywood films might have a advantage over independent films?
Yeah, definitely. Hollywood has a huge budget. When you look at an independent film, I mean, they're low budget movies most of the time, and what that does though, when you watch an independent film, they don't have the budget that can like show an entire city like in the Avengers. It's getting destroyed and it looks awesome, but you get to see what someone's going through. It focuses on the story more than like the world around it. It's just, I think they use their disadvantage of the budget as an advantage for writers and unknown directors and stuff like that.
Okay, that I would also agree, because I know with Hollywood-style films, you got famous directors, actors, like you said, Perks of Being a Wallflower. Now that's a great indie film that I've seen. Like they got that great actress Emma Watson, which is a great actress. So I think indie films are starting to pick up. Of hopefully they're really getting their movies out there better by having like great actors like that that a lot of people know and familiar with. But yeah, I agree also that Hollywood films do have an advantage over indie films because they're more popular. That's what most people see in today's world. They have a lot of great workers and crew, and they get the best actors out there. And it's having that equipment, just be able to get the best picture. This quality, I guess, does matter sometimes in the theater world. But yeah, I think that kind of puts indie films at a disadvantage. I would agree with that as well.
But there it opens up a new like avenue. Hollywood, they have the money where they can buy rights to stories, where indie, if they can't get the rights, they write a really unique story. So I think it's getting unknown writers out there who have a lot to say to a generation that's really involved in film, and it's putting them out there. And that's something I think is, like I said, they're using a disadvantage, making it into an advantage.
Okay. Now, do you see yourself pursuing a career in independent filmmaking?
I would love to pursue a career in any kind of filmmaking, really, but I think independent is where my heart is. They're easy to do, for one. Anybody can do it. You just have to be good at it. I do want to pursue a career. I think God has a plan for me. I might not start right after college,
Right.
but I definitely want to keep doing it on the weekends, whenever, and eventually start up something. And if I can't, then I'll have kids one day. They'll be my actors. I'm just going to keep it going, and hopefully,
You have kids to be your actors one day?
I'll
you
do
said?
whatever I can. You know, I'll work a 9 to 5 if I have to, and I can just go home and play around with the camera like I did when I was a little kid. I just love making movies.
Cool.
Just anything really. I just want to always be in some kind of production.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. Shaun, thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining us as well. Hope you guys have a good day, and see you next time.